You could read the cruelty and evil on the faces of some of the German officers we held prisoner on the ship. You could see what they would have done had they dared. We guarded them with loaded rifles and revolvers. One of them spat into the face of one of our officers after we'd pulled him from the water onto a boat. So a kindly sailor of ours instantly threw him back and saved a drowning sailor instead. If we capture any more Germans, I don't think they'll have fags given to them. Feelings towards them have gone so bitter, especially since the sinking of HMS Pathfinder. When I first saw a lot of dead and wounded Germans after the last battle, I did feel sorry for them. For about 5 minutes. And then I thought it's a pity there hadn't been more, because the sooner they had gone, the sooner I shall be home. We didn't start this war, you know. But if we were all to wonder if we would see our loved ones again, it would drive us mad. We trust to God to keep us safe.
We were in the trenches from December the 11th to the 31st. We had a very bad time of it on account of the terrible weather, and no end of men going sick through colds. And then we were sent to these billets, where we will be for 5 days. After this, it's back to the trenches for 4 days, and then I believe down country for a new outfit and a rest. We sent a Christmas box from Princess Mary, and one from the Sentinel. A pound box of chocolates, 20 packets of cigarettes, and 8 ounces of tobacco. Truth is, we've had a very good Christmas taking everything into consideration. Our regiment and the Germans met halfway between the trenches. Both sides had arranged it so as not a shot was fired. We shook hands, exchanged cigarettes, cigars and the like. They, the Germans, seemed as though they were short of food, as they even begged bully beef, which we gave to them freely. They're quite a young lot of chaps, from about 16 upwards. I was talking to several of them. They said that they were fed up and ready to throw it all in. No doubt you'll read it in the Sentinel in due course. Anyway, happy Christmas.
It was a night of awesome blackness at the Ypres Salillon, punctuated by the flare of lights and the blinding flashes of bursting shells. I, a junior lieutenant, was bringing up the rear on a road of horror, a particularly busy, chaotic road where men in single file threaded their way in blackness amongst beasts and limbers. To lose touch was easy, particularly for the old sweats who knew a thing or two about warfare and the art of getting lost. I watched as closely as possible. In a rift of light, I detected a gap at the rear of the file. We should lose touch if they didn't make up their ground immediately. I kept on the heels of the rear man as well as darkness would permit. His gait seemed to have altered ominously. He was swaying and lurching. I reached out my hand and made contact with his head. Why, the fellow had lost his steel helmet. Why did he not fall out? And stranger still the way he lurched and his apparent indifference to my urgings. Now he stopped, of all the blessed mysteries. Then I see light in the form of a blazing tar barrel which the enemy had slung over. My company had disappeared completely, and the head, whose hair I had been so desperately fondling, was revealed to me as the hindquarters of a mule.
Battle of Hooge. It's the grandest thing I've ever seen. The earth trembled under heavy bombardment from our guns. Bullets, whiz-bangs, explosives, grenades of all descriptions were flying about. It was a scene that will never be forgotten by those who witnessed it. And for the Germans. They'll never forget the horrible confusion they were thrown into, making themselves prey for our fellows. They now know the meaning of frightfulness. We have had some trying times this past fortnight. It has been touch and go with death. But this is the finest life any man can lead. Amidst life, we are in death. One feels its touch and sees its effect. Who would stay in England when the finest game anyone could play is going on out here?
Our artillery had strafed for 2 hours. It was 2 o'clock when we went over. We went over shouting, "Potters forever!" We went across, 900 strong, and made the attack. We took 2 lines of enemy trenches and a lot more ground. But we lost very heavily. I think myself lucky. There are a lot of my pals who went under. I've heard that now we're finished with the charge, we're done with the trenches. They're going to make us do guard duty a good way from the line. I'm just glad it's all over and that I came out safe. We've had a good rest. And I'm sure we're finished with the trenches. I'm sure.
I am just about fed up with this wretched world war. When's it going to end? Fancy. In a fortnight, it'll be 3 years since this wretched game began. 3 years since I've been home. I remember when it broke out. I had about as much idea of joining the army then as I had flying. And yet, here I am. I sometimes think the Kaiser's right about God being with them. Every time we make an attack and it's doing well, it starts to pour down with rain. Spoils the old show. It has spoiled us every time yet. And I guess it'll spoil it for some time to come.